Greetings and welcome to EpicBattleCry! This is the place where we arguably cut through the crap to get to the real deal on the gaming industry today. I'm Britt Adams, joined by my downloaders of destruction, my subscribers of slaughter, Tony Grice and Daniel Kaiser. What's going on, fellas?
I know. I personally just subscribe to the idea that that is the best way to kick off your Monday with somebody screaming at you. So congratulations to everyone.
Exactly right.
Listening.
And I do download quite a bit, so that is probably accurate as well.
That's right.
Yes.
We're coming at you here at the start of your work week. Oh, we should do like a drive time kind of feel now. So we're here at the start of the work week to get things kicked off, get you through that Monday, which nobody likes to do. We're going to have some, what do they play on drive time? Like Celine Dion or like Kenny G or something, right? Something awful. Because that's what everybody wants to hear on fucking Monday, I'm sure.
Sure.
It's Monday, August 4th.
Happy August.
2014. Welcome to it. And we're going to start off this week with a question from Brutal Brainwork, who thankfully has the Twitter handle at Brutal Brainwork. And it's not going to get his name butchered like Daniel and I did to a couple people last week.
Sorry
At
about
Brutal
that.
Brainwork asks, at Epic Battle Axe, how did Xbox score this deal with EA, meaning EA Access? What publishers do you think could follow suit, and will they? And of course, this is in relation to the news from last week that EA has made an exclusive deal with Xbox to offer a subscription model called EA Access through Xbox, in which you are going to pay either $5 a month or $30 a year for access to download games from the EA library, games like Battlefield 4, games like FIFA 15, Madden NFL 15.
And this is just Xbox One,
This is
right?
only on Xbox One. I think Peggle 2 is... I think they've only named 4, maybe 5. I can't remember exactly, but...
I think it's just 4 right now, but...
Peggle 2 is in there, and you'll be able to download those games, install them on your Xbox One, and play them ad infinitum. In addition to that, you're going to get some discounts, 10% off DLC that you buy as long and you'll be able to keep that DLC after you let your subscription lapse, should you choose to do so. And they're saying that they're probably going to add more games later on, but obviously we don't have any details on that. Supposedly it's in beta either right now or going into beta very soon, and then a rollout later on for wider audiences. So that is what EA Access is.
140 characters. He got a lot in there.
Well, I'm supplanting this a little bit. I mean, if I'm honest, I'm doing a little bit of the lifting on this one. But anyway, that is what EA Access is. If you weren't aware of that, and so with that as the jumping off point, Daniel, what do you think of his question? How did they get it?
Well,
what publishers do you think will follow suit? Will they do it?
There is one little thing that you forgot to mention in there, and that is the limited access to new games. Basically,
or demos,
kind of like demos, trials that come out. It's like early access.
That's true. I forgot that.
But there are some things about that are still a little sketchy in terms of people don't know.
You're supposed to be able to. You're supposed to get like access to like demos and trials and things like that, like 5 days early or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Is one of the other advantages. So that's the thing, is like the subscription. It gets you like it gets you several different kinds of like little, I don't know, like little perks,
little bonuses,
right. So anyway, to answer Brutal Brainwork's question, there's a lot of backdoor deals that are always being proposed, and apparently Microsoft
aren't there.
Daniel's doing backdoor deals all the time.
Apparently Microsoft was able to convince EA that this is something worthy of being an exclusive on their platform, and incentivize them properly to offer this to their audience. EA wants to probably do this, and they're probably looking for an opportunity to do this in an effort to solidify, more consistent sales and get people hooked to their franchises and whatnot.
They want to get people in the door and get them buying Madden, every single fall or whatever.
Right. So if you're playing last year's Madden because you paid them $5 and it's digital and they could bypass GameStop and all that stuff, then it's a win-win for them. Or at least they're getting some extra stuff that they could then maybe try to convert into a new sale, especially when they have yearly iterations. It's probably worth the gamble. But I don't know if they pitched this to Sony and it didn't work out, or if Microsoft was aggressively looking for a partner for something like this to bolster their appeal. To me, though, okay, $5 seems pretty good. just out of the gate, I just got to say, I hate all this stuff more than ever. I just can't stand where the industry is going, and since the time that we started this podcast to where we are now, and just all of this stuff that is just so convoluted, and so like you don't know exactly what you're getting, and you're paying little incremental things, and it's like something that kind of works, and I know you're going to make this comparison when you talk about this, Brent, with Netflix, but
yes, absolutely.
So I'll leave that to you, but that model
thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, this model of just like EA has a good roster that is 20, 30 years in the past that they should be tapping into.
Yes.
To come with 4 games is pretty weak, if you ask me, even at $5 a month, even though it is pretty cool to play some games like Battlefield and Madden and stuff like that.
I think that's probably all they had made for the Xbox One. I mean, they haven't yet gone back and redone their maybe older titles to work on it or something.
Exactly. So, I mean, over the long haul, it's kind of cool to be an EA insider if you really love their product catalog and want to get 10% off games and stuff like that. But this just further kind of drags along the whole segmentation of the market and just all these different things that it's just like I just can see all the nightmares and the headaches of like, well, I tried to download this and I had to log back in, and I don't have my EA password, but I've got my Xbox password, and I've logged in, and my gold subscription lapsed, so I couldn't log. It's just so much crap.
Now that's a good question that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet, is whether or not this is behind the Xbox Gold paywall.
It has to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
They don't do anything, which actually does the one question I think is kind of, because I mean, let's be honest, how did they score this deal with EA? It was money. Now I will admit, I'm not. I mean, it's just plain
it wasn't
simple.
Gummy bears.
Now, the thing is, I think it is kind of a good question. I'm not sure which way that money flowed. Like,
I'm curious about that too.
Was that. Yeah, my first thought is that, Microsoft probably, or EA kind of came to him and said, what would you think about this? Well, we're thinking about doing this on all of our platforms. Well, we'll give you so much money if you make it an Xbox One exclusive. Or it could have been EA going to Microsoft and saying like, hey, we got this thing we want to try, what about this sort of thing? To me, if it was Microsoft that had been pushing this, I think it might have become part of, being Xbox Live Gold,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I kind of almost think they would have tied it in something more. So this does make me sort of think that it's at least
or have
in some way connected to
more goldier level.
So the other two questions, though, just real quick, is what publishers do you think will follow suit, and will they? Well, to be honest, I could see a couple of different publishers, and they all are sort of in the EA sort of sphere, like an Activision or something like that. I could see them maybe doing this, but the will they really depends on how well this goes over. I think.
Well,
EA
in that case, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, EA was the first person to do online pass, and we thought it was going to be just gone immediately. Well, it stuck around for a few years.
Yeah, and then they dissolved it. And they've also been doing the sports thing.
But that's the thing. They did it for a few years until now. They've got essentially similar. They're just sort of retooling it in a lot of ways, I feel like. Like, it's not exactly the same, but it is similar in scope of trying to get that person continually paying for,
they like the idea. Payment. They like the idea of some sort of subscription. What they have failed to discover is the way to offer anything of value for that. Like, they really are like, isn't there just some way that we can offer basically nothing and get people to give us money?
Right,
or the same thing we offered before for the same price, but now charge more for it.
Yes.
Where you got to at least give them credit.
They just can't figure out a way to make that work somehow.
You at least got to give them credit, though. I mean, they are giving, I think, essentially their entire library of Xbox One games away.
Which
now.
Is 4.
Yeah, I was going to say which.
Well, but it's only 4. But that's because I mean, they're not saying that this is like
that's true.
Next year we're going to move it till 10, like to $10 a month. If it stays at $5 a month and you get to continually kind of go back and play these vault games. Now, if they're constantly changing, that it'd be a little harder to sort of know. Okay, well, I know I want to keep playing Madden 15, so do I have to fucking buy it, or is it going to stay in, like, I downloaded it while
this is a vast conspiracy theory to entice people to purchase additional hard drive space for their Xbox One, isn't it? That's what is at the heart of this.
Well, I will just say that, I get the sinking feeling that unlike PlayStation Plus, which offers games that you actually still want to buy at the time that they become available, most of these games are going to be of the variety that, like, they milk it for all that it's worth, both retail and digitally, before they throw it on this list of, like, hey, now you can have the scraps kind of thing. Like everyone,
I would agree.
Everyone who wants to play Madden 25 has bought Madden 25. Everyone who wants to play Battlefield 4 is still waiting to play Battlefield 4 correctly. But they have purchased it. So, I mean...
Those are at least newer games than... Xbox has gotten a little better about that. Before, when they were doing, like, the giveaway games, they were pretty old games. Yeah. Whereas in the last little bit, I mean, you got to at least admit these are games that have come out in the last year. Tomb Raider and things like that were some of the games that have been given away on PlayStation, and those are within the last year, too. So, yes, I mean, it's reasonable.
Those are fair points, but to me, this is what it comes back to, and Daniel's absolutely right in that I'm going to go to the Netflix analogy. Because I think that what's fundamentally wrong with what EA is doing is that they are essentially trying to kind of follow in the footsteps of a Netflix, offer a subscription service, but failing to duplicate Netflix's business model on almost every front. Yeah. And I will point everybody to an article on Polygon written by Chris Plant, entitled "EA Access Wants to be Netflix for Video Games, but it doesn't go far enough," because he managed to articulate pretty much everything that I felt about this as I was reading up on it. Anyway, I think that at its core, here's what's flawed about this. It's a subscription service for, as Tony points out, everything that EA's got on the Xbox One right now, but an infinitesimal fraction of what is in EA's catalog, as Daniel's pointing out. And the fact of the matter is
that made for the system yet. I mean,
but then that's what's cool. Like, invest in making that playable somehow, and then it's worth it.
Exactly right.
I don't. Why do we think that that's not happening? I mean, like, this is literally just launched it.
Well, that would.
But they've said that it's going to go for. It's not like, okay, we're going to have these 4 games and that's it forever. I mean, we know that they are going to be adding titles to this. I don't think that there's anything to be said that they aren't going to be adding anything that is playable on the Xbox One is going to be playable on this at some point, made by EA.
Sure, down the road.
And any of their old titles, I'd say that they are going to work to bring their most popular ones over.
But that's the thing. You still have to, like, EA still expects you to buy their games. Like, make no mistake, they are not saying, like, sign up for EA Access and every EA game that comes out, you will eventually be able to play on this. They are not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. Because
we will pick and choose which games.
That's exactly right. They're going to select games.
I think they are saying if that's the way you want to play them and you won't have as much control over it. Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, they're giving you a discount on buying the game.
They're giving you a discount to buy games from them. They're going to limit the titles that go into this vault to try and make it a value add, to try to get people to give them additional money, and then they're going to give you a discount on DLC and so forth. But they are still expecting you to buy full retail price EA games moving forward. So
it may be a year after the game has come out. I'm not saying that they'll release them day and date on the EA Access, but I'm saying that if you don't want to pay full price for the game and can wait, eventually I do think that they will.
So you think Dragon Age Inquisition will be available as a full download a year from the day that it comes out?
The which one? Dragon Age, did you say?
That's the one that's coming out.
Yeah, I think that, well, and I don't know, a year arbitrarily, I don't know, but yeah, sure, I do. I think eventually that will be available on it for that, like, month period that it's on the store. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I think every one of them will be available, and I think that is kind of what they're pointing at, is that you'll get a chance to play all of our games at some point.
I think that's what they'd like us to believe, but I remain skeptical as to whether they will.
I mean, I'll be honest. If they aren't doing that, then yeah, I will give you this is pointless. But I think realistically, I think they know that at some point they have sold as many, because the whole point is they've sold as many copies of Battlefield 4, Madden 25. Peggle, like those games, they've sold as many of those as they are realistically going to sell at this point. So now it is just added bonus. So hey, now we can get people to pay us $5 a month that maybe weren't going to buy those games.
And what's the cost involved in that? I mean, they have to pay for server usage for games like Battlefield and potentially Madden. But
realistically, they already were anyway for all the people that had bought it and are still playing it.
Isn't what's really at the heart of this just trying to entice people into digital downloads to steer clear of GameStop and being able to return games and so forth? Like, isn't this more just about trying to go to digital distribution, which is better for them than retail sales are?
I feel like there's a missed opportunity here, and that is kind of what we were alluding to, in that, like, it would have been much more impressive to me if EA would have said, we've partnered with Microsoft to release the subscription-based EA Vault, our vast catalog.
We've got this emulation platform that's going to work on Xbox, it's going to work on PC, on Surface.
Yes, and
that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
That would be Netflix of video games.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, as Chris Plant in this article rightly points out, what makes Netflix such a a compelling service is the fact that it has such a vast catalog of stuff, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's all like the best quality. He says, and I agree with his. I agree with the evaluation that half the fun of Netflix is coming across things and discovering things that you might never have sought out yourself, but because they're part of your package, you're like, oh shit, that sounds kind of interesting. I'll watch that documentary or this weirdo TV series or whatever it is. And so that's the thing, is that I feel like I don't want to be too unfair to EA in this. I do see some potential for this. I see potential for games as a subscription service. It's just that this falls so far short of what I, as a gamer, would find enough value in to bite. Like I really don't see enough value in what it is that they're offering. Although the subscription fee is small, I just don't see enough value in what they're offering to in any way compel me to jump on board with it, irrespective of the fact that I'm not particularly into the games that they're offering right now.
And I would just say, I'm to the point where I'm kind of sick of subscriptions and signing up for stuff and having different logins and having all this different stuff. So like, I'm getting very conscientious. Even if the value is great, I'm like, all right, so it's another thing I've got to sign up for, and another bill on my credit card every month, and another login I have to do, and another maintenance thing I have to maintain, and those servers go down. I mean, just playing the Destiny beta this last week, I'm like, I literally, my kids went next door to the neighbor's house, and they had like, we're gonna be gone for 45 minutes. I'm like, sweet, I'll jump on the Destiny beta, downloading an update, installing the update.
The thing is, though, you got to kind of admit that's a game that you don't have to pay another service for it, and you still have to go through that. So I mean, you're going to be going through some of these pains, whether you're signed up through an EA service or not.
But I'm just saying it all taxes my
admittedly, I just don't think
it pushes Daniel ever closer to that moment where he becomes the next Unabomber.
I'm just going to end up throwing all the devices out the window at some point. And
that's what I'm saying, though. That's an equally, you can apply that equally to almost everything, not just this EA thing.
Right,
so that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's that big a deal towards this, because it's a problem with all of it. And I do agree with that. I hate things like this subscription.
Okay, so real quick round table. Let's follow up,
because it's not running long at all.
Yeah, not at all. Like real quick.
Add more to it.
Other publishers that we think could do this. Activision.
I said Activision.
2K.
Ubisoft. 2K. They all.
I think we can name every company. Let's be honest. If this
like
turns out working well for EA,
they have deep enough catalogs that they could potentially do it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that Chris Plant mentions in the Polygon article, which is a really interesting idea that I'll just throw out there for people to kind of ponder on. He says that who would be really in a good position to do something like this would be Humble. They've built such inroads with indie developers and everything through the Humble bundle, alternate pay structures and everything. If Humble was to try to work on some sort of game subscription type service with all of the properties that they've distributed over the years, that could be a really interesting avenue, and would work in kind of a more Netflix way, in the sense that it would kind of start with a lot of different kinds of things that aren't necessarily your mainstream AAA recognizable kind of franchises and so forth. So I'll just throw that out there for people to kind of chew on. I think that's kind of an interesting idea. GOG is another company that's got, I think, similar sort of cachet in this area. So anyway, thank you so much for the question at Brutal Brainwork. Really interesting discussion. Great discussion. Great way to kick off your Monday here with Epic Battlecry. If you've got a question that you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, if you've got a news story that you'd like us to react to, you know where to find us. We're at Epic Battle Axe on Twitter. We're youtube.com/Epic Battle Axe. Please subscribe to the show. Give us a like. Share the episodes with your friend. Put it out on social media, Facebook, Twitter. We really appreciate all the love and spreading the word about Epic Battlecry. We're going to be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. Until then, cry havoc and let your voice be heard.
Brutal Brainwork. That's a good name. Yeah. That's a good Twitter handle.
He almost looks like a company.
Could be.
What do they do?
I mean, it looks like a logo, like of a. Yeah, I mean, it looks.
Oh, I don't feel so good. I need to go to Brutal Brainwork.
Not necessarily a great name for a healthcare provider, but.